Happy Star Wars Day, guys. It is now almost 7 o'clock, and this is my second and last interview for the day, To Speak My Truth. To Speak My Truth is a show that I created to interview guests, get to know them, and grab a drink with them. And whenever it's past pretty much 2:30, 3 o'clock, we switch to a glass of wine or a beer. I'm not a really hard liquor kind of drinker, so... Sorry, my hair is absolutely crazy. I've been on the couch. I was outside. I was on the couch now. So I hope you guys are having a great Monday and enjoying Star Wars Day. Hopefully you're watching it on Disney Plus, which I absolutely love Disney Plus. And I want to, again, thank all the teachers out there that have been doing so amazing with going online and keeping our kids safe and educated. The governor of New Jersey just came out and said that New Jersey schools are out for the rest of the year. So I'm going to keep all the teachers in my prayers. And also the parents who have to teach their kids, because I can only imagine what that must be like. But tonight's guest is somebody that I recently met from Antigua and Barbuda. He is a professional tennis player. He is young, and I will ask him if he's single or not, because the same thing with CJ and Armani. And so if I can help people find love, that's cheers to that. And he graduated and played college at Northern Kentucky University. And he earned second team All Horizon League honors and now competes all over the world, including the 2019 Pan American Games. He is driven, he is successful, and I can't wait to add him and get this convo started, because I haven't seen him in a very long time, and I've been wanting to get to know him a little bit better and promote Antigua and Barbuda athletes. So without further ado, Jody, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi.
Thank you so much for this.
No problem. You're welcome. How are you?
I'm fabulous. I had the hardest workout today. And so, like, after my one interview, I went outside and lifted. And then my husband's trying to run more, so we went on a run. I've never felt 31 more 31 than I did today.
That's good. It's a productive day in quarantine, so that's good.
I guess let's say that. Way to be positive, Jody. Way to be positive. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you.
You good? Where are you now?
I'm in Texas.
Okay. And you're training down there?
Yeah, I'm still training.
Okay. So you were born and raised in Antigua.
Mm-hmm.
And then you went to university in the States.
Yeah.
Okay. Why? I always have to ask this, because I mean, obviously, America, there's always the misconception or the perception that it's like the land of the free and all this other stuff that people believe in.
Yeah.
Why did you want to go to university in the States?
I think when I was young, I decided that I wanted to play tennis at a higher level. That was pretty much the only option for me to still get an education and still have hopes of playing professional tennis. So the college tennis program in the United States is the best in the world. They don't really have that much college tennis outside the US. So I was lucky enough to improve enough in time, because I was also young when I graduated high school in Antigua. So I was lucky enough to improve a lot and get a scholarship and be able to play college tennis in the United States.
And how did you get involved in tennis? Because it's not something in America, if you do it at a younger age, it is expensive.
Yeah.
And it's something that's very, in a sense, bougie. So if you play tennis, you usually, have money or somebody that knows or an in. How did you get involved in that?
My dad played tennis. So okay. I don't remember when I started tennis really, but I just know that my dad played tennis and I was always around tennis. I guess towards the end of his playing career, he was coaching, and I was just around the hotels when he was coaching, and I started down at Halcyon Resort, close to where I live, and I just remember lots of days that my mom and like the coaches down at Halcyon just feeding me balls when I was really young, and my dad playing with me when he can, because he got into politics as I got a little bit older, but he would play with me when he could and he got time. And I think I was about 13, 14, around days when I decided that I just wanted to play only tennis.
Oh, wow. Okay. And I know, obviously in Antigua and in the Caribbean, cricket is something that's like the bigger sport. Exactly. Did you get any kind of pushback for not doing cricket?
I did. I did a little bit. I think when I was 13, I was probably better at cricket than I was at tennis. I was more successful. I was making some of the regional teams in cricket, and I didn't make any in tennis.
Ah,
So it was tough decision, and a lot of my coaches, the cricket coaches and friends who played on the teams with me and stuff were, tried to get me back into it. And every now and again, I go back. Like a few years ago, I went back and played a first class game without practicing for 4 years, and I still did pretty good. So
oh,
I
okay.
mean,
I was like, how did that happen? How did that
yeah,
go?
it went well actually. It went well the first day, but then I'm not used to the movement anymore. So the second day I went back to play, and I was very sore. Like my back was sore, my shoulder was sore, just because
Yeah.
it's a different movement. But I still did okay. I did decent.
Okay. So that's
Yeah,
good. I mean, I'm glad that I mean, it's very difficult, I feel like, when you're good at two sports in a sense and you have to
yeah,
choose one. And
yeah,
especially to choose the one that you didn't excel at originally, I feel like
exactly.
that's a big leap of faith for such a
Yeah,
young age.
yeah. I think also it was a lot to do with education because I didn't really know that much about where cricket would take me if I wasn't a professional athlete. And I
Mm-hmm.
knew that in tennis, the first step for me would have been graduating university. So I at least would have a degree to fall back on if I don't get to the level that I want to be at.
Okay, I
Yeah.
understand. So guys, if you guys are just joining, I'm with Jody. He is a professional tennis player for the country of Antigua and Barbuda, who I represent as well. And again, if you guys have any questions, you just have to look at the bottom of your screen. There's a question mark with a square around it. If you have any questions for Jody, you just click the button, type away, and then we'll answer your questions. I obviously have questions because it's my show, but if you guys have more questions, just don't be afraid to type them in and we'll get to them ASAP. Um, Now, I know that you obviously went to university and then you, I guess, turned pro. So the first thing
Yeah.
I want to do is touch on what was it like for you, your college experience at Kentucky?
Yeah. So like I said, I was young. I was 17 when I went to college, and I don't
Okay.
think I was really prepared for what I was walking into, both from the athletic point of view and also school, because
Okay.
my last year in high school, I was 16 and I did a lot of subjects, but I wouldn't say I didn't care. I wanted good grades, but it wasn't that important to me. And
Okay.
I went into my freshman year at Northern Kentucky in the middle of season. I started in the spring, which is tennis season. So we had to start
Oh,
season right away.
yeah.
And obviously, a lot of the guys are older than me and more developed. Like we had guys on my team that's 25 years old. That's kind of old for, yeah,
That
that's
is
old.
old.
Yeah, yeah, there was like two 25-year-olds on my team. Um, and I would obviously play people throughout the season that are in their early 20s and stuff. And I was only 17. So I struggled against the stronger guys. And then also in school, like I learned early that some of my teammates were like about school, had 4.0 GPAs and stuff, and I didn't want to
Wow.
feel like I was the one who would bring the team GPA down, or I would be like the person that they laugh at and be like, oh, this guy doesn't, you know?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. You
yeah,
never want to be that.
yeah. So around midterms, my freshman year, I realized like, okay, I need to start doing better. So
But it sounds like it
that
was a good
changed.
push in a sense. So
It
even though
was great.
you were the young guy, but you
Yeah,
still obviously learned a lot from older guys.
yeah,
And I feel like sometimes it's also helpful, which is
yeah,
why I mean the college system works is because younger people are learning from the older people, but then the
yeah,
older people can still get that fresh take from the younger, like the freshmen and the sophomores, of like
exactly.
that fire and that somebody always wants to take your spot kind of thing.
I think what's important also is like you have to pick and choose what you want to learn from certain people and also for your
Mm-hmm.
specific goals, because for example I had people on my team who had great grades but didn't have aspirations to play tennis after college, so it would be
Gotcha.
wrong for me to commit all of my time to school
Mm-hmm.
and not develop my game. So I would pick
Absolutely.
and choose. I learned later on that I pick and choose who I want to learn certain lessons from, and I think I do a better job at that now outside of school, like since I've graduated, learning from what I learned here than I did then.
I definitely will say from our very brief time together, I definitely feel like you're more mature for your age than most
Yeah,
people, especially coming from a smaller island and then
yeah,
going to such a big, big change. It's like you saying that it's from school and from tennis, but it's also a culture shock. I
yeah,
would feel. What was
yeah.
was the culture like very different? from what
It
you expected?
was, it was. I mean, I left. I graduated. I think I took my last exam in June in grammar school, and I left in July probably when I was 16 years old. So I was out of there. And since then I've been away from home. So from a young age, I mean 16 is really young to leave home for good, you know. And I would only
Yes.
go home for Christmas mostly. Sometimes my birthday, every now and again I'll have time to go home. But I think I was lucky. I mean, being away from home at that young helped me because I went into school and I didn't really struggle being away from school like some of the other people did. Like I had friends on the football team at my school that international guys that just didn't enjoy being away from home and didn't handle it as
Hmm.
well. I think I was lucky
Yeah.
to learn from a younger age that, just being away from home and also learning that the US is different from home and certain things are not the same customs that we have at home. So I was lucky, I think, to learn that at a young age.
Oh, that's good. I'm very, very glad. We do have a question that I'm going to get to. Hopefully it's okay. So it's going to pop up on the bottom there. Your
My
biggest
biggest
motivator,
motivator. What is my
besides
biggest
amazing
motivator?
teammates that you get to travel with all the time.
Yeah, exactly. My biggest, I don't think I have one single biggest motivator. I have a few. Um, I think support from home is huge. Like I have a few of my friends that I played tennis and cricket with, like when I was younger that still support me to this day, and I feel like they have so much confidence in me and they help me on the tougher times. And I think
Hmm.
I don't know if they're watching. I don't know if they're watching right now, but they're supportive of me in everything that I do. So they motivate me a lot on the tougher days. But on the good days, is just I just want to play at the best level I can. I want to make people in Antigua proud and you know, make the younger kids in Antigua realize that we like small sports, small island sports can go so far. And I think when I see islands like Jamaica and Trinidad and Bahamas, they're big islands, but they're small countries, and
Hmm.
they represent themselves in the sports arena so big. Like when you see these
Yes.
track and field teams at the
Hmm.
Olympics and at the Pan Am Games and CSC Games, all these team games, I'm sure at Worlds you see all that stuff too, and
Hmm.
swimmers too. And why can't we do that in every sport? Why can't we do that in other sports too? So I want to be kind of a leading factor in tennis and to show that even the sports that are not that popular in the Caribbean, we still can make it because I think it's important. And I've talked to my mom quite a bit about that also, and I have a few friends I talk to also about when I'm done with tennis, what I want to do for the sport and what I want to do for sports in general in Antigua.
Hmm.
So that's what motivates me too.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, I mean, obviously, it is something that we are a smaller country, right? And
Yeah.
so when I went to the 2012 U.S. Olympic trials and I didn't make it, and so then I switched countries and it finally went through in 2014, and I had started the process in 2013,
Okay.
and it's one of the things that it's backwards because when I went to Antigua for the first time, it was a culture shock for me.
Yeah.
And so when I saw that track and field, I mean, we've had great athletes in track and field, we've had Olympians, but there weren't really field eventers and there weren't a lot of females. And so I felt the same kind of why do I always see Jamaica? Why do I always see the Bahamas and stuff like
Yeah.
that? And so now that I feel like there's something missing in Antigua like that's not happening. That
I
should be.
think I think some of it comes down to mentality, actually. And
Okay.
I've learned a lot recently about the way athletes think. And I've been watching a lot of like videos, films of tennis playing, but also the way athletes talk and carry themselves. And actually, I was really impressed with, I room with CJ at Pan Am in Lima.
Yeah. Mhm.
And that's my first time really being around him in a competitive setting. And the way he thought kind of, it was different to me at the time. And I thought like, wow, that's crazy the way he thinks. But then the more I'm around successful athletes and athletes that want to play at that level, I realized that that's just standard and that's just what the mentality has to be. And I didn't have that, and I still don't have that actually, but I'm learning and I'm trying to change my thoughts. And I don't think it's weird because I don't think that I think like the typical Antiguan because I'm not necessarily extremely confident in myself all the time, but I think Antiguans are very like when it gets tough, they don't necessarily like react in the most positive way all the time, because there is a lot wrong with sports in Antigua. There is a lot, and it's getting better, but not at the rate that obviously we would like to see. But I know there are people working. But anyway, I think that Antiguans can react in a different way. The more I learn about successful athletes, I realize that they're just resilient in certain ways, and you have to see the big picture, but you have to battle these battles first right in front of you to get there. And I don't think we always think that way, if that makes
So
sense.
do you think that we should be, as younger Antiguan athletes, we should be doing more on the administrative side to help?
I think yes, but I also think that from competition point of view, because when I was growing up, I didn't play a lot of matches in Antigua because there's not that much tennis, and I can't imagine that. I don't know much about track and field. I think swimming does a pretty good job of having a lot of competitions. But I know tennis doesn't have. We don't have enough players, and I love tennis clubs to compete against each other. And I can imagine track being decent at it, but I think we have to learn how to compete. We need to play a lot more matches, a lot more games against each other, against other countries in the region, find a way to make it cheap, and just teach athletes how to compete in the right way, I think. And so I think the administrative point of view, we need help there, but also I think people like you, me, CJ, the swimmers that are successful, the other sprinters, the basketball players, all these guys who are successful, the boxers, these more successful Antiguan athletes I think we need to do more. I know I need to do more for sure, and just teach younger athletes, what I would have done differently at their age, and the way they're supposed to be thinking to get to my level and to get even further than I am. Because at the end of the day, that's the goal. I don't want Antiguan tennis to stop at me. I want people to be better than me in the future. I want people to rise Antiguan tennis to the best they can be too.
Absolutely. And I mean, that was one of the things that CJ, so the thing was, we were waiting for the track to be built because our track wasn't like regulation. So like by the federation, it wasn't legal. So they had to redo the track, and it was supposed to be done last year. And so it's just taking a long time. And then so I reached out to CJ and said, hey, we need to get back to the island, and we're sportswoman and, sportsman of the year. We've got to get back and help as much as possible. And so as soon as I reached out to Heather Samuels, the COVID-19 came and like shut everything down. So I was like, of course, as we get started, it's shutting down. But I do think I think it's a double-edged sword, because as we're learning as athletes, we're students of the sport still. Exactly. So, and we're not at the highest level where we can kind of like, not like sit back, but we can like do more of going back and teaching. Exactly. And right now we're trying to teach through our competitions. We're trying to teach in our mannerisms, because unfortunately we still need a lot of coaching. We need we still need sports psychologists. We still need this. And so I think it would be beneficial for us to go back. And I never thought about it as like a mentality, because it's just, that's how I think. I always think like, this is how it is. You have to sacrifice. You got to be dedicated. You got to fall. You got to get up, and you got to fall 1,000 more times and get back up. I don't know if that's a mentality that a lot of younger athletes have. Yeah. Was that something that you learned along the way?
I'm still learning that now. My coach is religious, and he's been begging me for about a week to watch a sermon on attitude. And not because I have a bad attitude, but you have to have a literally like extremely resilient attitude, especially in an individual sport where you don't have a coach on the court and you're out there by yourself and it's hot and things are going against you. You have to be resilient, and you have to understand this is the attitude that's going to, put me through the tough times. And I think some of the younger athletes in Antigua don't necessarily have that. I didn't have that when I was younger. I didn't have that in college. I wasn't as resilient as I should have been. And I think some of that comes from also the confidence that you're working on the right things, and that what you're working on will pay off in the long run. Because I feel like you'll get impatient with yourself if you feel like you're working on things that, may not necessarily be successful in the future. Because you can work hard, but work in the wrong way, So you have to have confidence that you're working in the right way and that they're going to pay off in the future. And that's something I'm still learning now. I'm still learning. I'm trying to play the right way, and it may not be successful right now, but once I get the hang of it and I get these things down, that I'll be able to play at that level.
And I think that honestly, you're what are you, 24?
24.
Oh my gosh, you're such a baby, you and CJ. Oh, I love it. I think it's something that it's very positive to know that you are thinking this way at this age. Because when I was 24, I'm pretty sure I was working at a bar in New York.
Okay.
And or like right after, and I was just like there was a point where I had like completely been done with track. I was like, I'm done. I have no more time. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I feel like you're learning these lessons at a great time, and these are lessons that are going to help you in athletics, but also in life. And
Yeah,
I think
sure.
it's an importance that when people retire, they expect the phone call rather than the person. You are going to be that person making the phone call to get that opportunity. And so I'm glad that you're learning this, and I'm glad that the American, that spirit and that mentality has rubbed off. That's a good thing that America has done for you.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's really great to see that there are athletes from Antigua with a different mindset, and we want to give it back to the island.
For sure.
Obviously.
I mean, I've learned so much because I've realized that I have quite a few friends that are successful at the higher level. I know a few cricketers, obviously the sprinters. You were successful at the level that I want to be at in your sport, obviously speaking, and tennis players too. And I just learned that their mentality is so resilient and so much different. And it's even though they respect their opponents in a way, it's like they have something to prove, and they want to make sure that, you know, and CJ is the first person that I've interacted that had that mentality. And at first I thought, yo, that's a little bit crazy. Like, you know, we're sitting in we're sitting in the villa. We're sitting in the villa at like 8 o'clock at night. We just finished dinner. We're just chilling or something. And this man is thinking and talking so wild to me. And I'm like, that's what it has to be. And he realized, I think, he realized obviously before I did, because I have a different level of commitment now than I did even in Lima. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I learned a lot at 24 years old. So why can't I teach this to the younger generation when they're 12 and 13, 14? Yeah. You know, when I go home, and I think I need to do a better job, because I only go home for like a month every year, like total, because I'll go home maybe for 2 or 3 weeks in Christmas. Sometimes I'll get to break in the middle of the year, but I need to find some time to go down and where I will learn to play. And I actually have plans to incorporate some sort of, you know, tennis camp and stuff, but also COVID is not easy.
It's not helping our situation at all. But I think it's good. And I think that, honestly, we should work together to do things like this.
For
like,
sure.
The sports can come together. And, I mean, it was one of the things that I want to do is be on the Pan Am Sports, like the board, because they give money for athletes to have a representative in these bigger meetings. So that, and they give financial funding so that we can create something. So if we wanted to do one big, you know, event and kind of work together, it's there are possibilities and there's opportunities. It's just, again, it's a little difficult because we're still in our sport. We're still training.
I think also we have to show the people back home that at the end of the day, sports is an entertainment industry too. And there is a lot of money in sports. So for them to invest in us right now is also investing in their sport and in the island as a whole. Like, look at how big like the Jamaicans are at track and field and at cricket and that sort of stuff. It's like if we can build a sports culture too around Antigua and make the people who are in charge of the funding now create a program that benefits the sports as a whole, they'll realize that in the future they'll make a lot more money because the athletes themselves will be successful. It puts Antigua on the map, but also it brings money into the country because there is a lot of money in sports.
Absolutely. And but it's also again, you said entertainment. We're entertainers. So I was working with my agent and my publicist because I was like, hey, we need to start partnering with car dealerships. And what is Antigua really known for? It's the beaches. It's the resorts. The athletes should be on the posters because we're the people that, again, I'm from New York, CJ's, in Florida and Georgia, well known. People have gone to Antigua for their honeymoons because they know that I'm from there. They're like, oh, we never even thought of Antigua. We'll go. You know what I mean? And so you could be meeting people and be like, oh, if you mention my name, you get whatever % off at this resort. Come see me play. Come do things like we're entertainers, and that's something that I've always wanted to be an entertainer, not in track and field, but in movies and stuff. So I am this persona, but I think Antigua definitely could benefit from the revenue of its lead athletes right now.
And I feel like it just benefits everyone. Like the guys that like the athletes that are most close to breaking through financially and even like competing at the very, very top of their game. Some of the cricketers, you guys are the athletes that medal at the games and stuff. I feel like when you guys break through and it's successful for you guys, it's also successful for the country, you know? And I feel like I don't know how much they've invested in the specific sports, but I know they have invested a little bit in me. Obviously, the NOC has been helping me since I graduated school, and I can't thank them enough. But I also want to make sure that they know that they're important to my development too. And I don't want it to be a case where, not me, but some athlete breaks through that didn't have help from the NOC, and then the country can't benefit from their success. You know what I mean? And that would be a bad situation. So I think that's important a lot. The support that we get from like tourism in Antigua, but also the sports like NOC and the Ministry of Sports and the government and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree, and I'm still learning about the different tiers of it all and stuff like that. So it definitely is something that I'm still learning and I still care about. But my biggest thing right now is making sure that like the younger athletes know that we are thinking about them and that we do have their best interests at heart. And I want to be a little bit more in communication with them, if possible. So I think that's something that we can definitely work on. And I mean, I'm really glad that we're kind of on the same page about that. I mean, we do different sports again, but, and I suck at tennis, but we could do like a doubles team and I'll be on your team and you can just teach me how to do things, because that Serena Williams gene did miss me completely. Trust and believe, Jesus. We do have another question. Let's see what we got.
I see a lot of comments about the beard. The beard is a fan favorite.
Oh, I know. I love it. They made fun of CJ too.
Except for my mom. I called my mom before this to make sure that I'm looking good, and she wasn't happy.
I'm surprised CJ didn't wear a hat, but CJ's beard and his hair, the whole thing. I love seeing guys now because it's like, oh, y'all ain't cute no more. Okay, I see you. The roots coming out. I got
That's funny.
Do you have any pre-match rituals that you have to do?
Pre-match rituals. I think not. I wouldn't call it a ritual, but I just want to make sure that my equipment is sorted. So I want to make sure I have at least one, sometimes two, freshly strung rackets and new grips. For some reason, I have a mentality when I start a match, it needs to feel brand new. So I can't play with like a used. You know, even if I practice with it the day before or something, it has to be new for me.
Ooh, bougie. I like it.
But it's not uncommon in tennis. It's not uncommon. Like when you get to the higher level, those guys have like when you get to the higher level, those guys are able to afford stringing and all these new stuff, and they have 6 to 10 new rackets every match. No, for me, I just need 1 or 2 for right now. Yeah. But I think nothing that I have to do. I just usually practice about an hour and a half before I play. 20 to 30 minutes light just to break a sweat, warm up properly.
Oh, okay.
And then, and I think I have a relaxed mentality. Like before I play, I kind of just chill, listen to music. Like,
I'm sorry, is that different than your regular personality?
No, different than like a lot of athletes. Like some of them have to be like pumped up and fired up before they play and stuff. Like my coach told me that when he played, he literally had to try and sit still because he's so buzzed, like he's so ready to go. Wow. Like it's go time for him. But for me, I just relax. Like it's a Caribbean mentality, I guess, just to chill, and that's how I feel.
It is. Oh, I know that.
Yeah.
You have many, many, many fans on here, and they're battling out to see who the biggest fan is. And I see your sisters on here. I do want to touch on her a little bit. What was it like growing up for you both with 2 different sports, like competition-wise? Were you guys like rivals?
Okay. My sister played tennis.
She did?
Yeah, my sister played tennis. Before swimming, she played tennis.
Oh.
But I think I'm a few years older than her, so I wasn't really in her group. So we didn't really have a rivalry in sports, really. But literally anything else we argue about. So we had a rivalry.
Really?
Everything else. Yeah, currently it's the car. So We
I
go
always
back
had this
home.
idea that you guys were like best friends.
I mean, no, we've gotten a lot closer. We're really close now. But before, oh, all the time.
Your
I'm
poor
surprised my
mother.
mom. I'm surprised my mom still has a voice.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
Allie! I can't believe this. Oh
Yeah.
my
She said that she
goodness.
was your roommate at Commonwealth. She said she enjoyed
Yes,
it.
we were. Yes, we
Hmm.
were. Your sister is absolutely phenomenal, and it was probably the second to last day that I even found out that you guys were brother and sister. I
Yeah.
was like, wait a second, hold on. She was like, yeah, it's my brother, and I had no idea. Okay, we have one more question. What's your best surface, and how much do you change your game for surface?
My favorite surface is hard court. We grew up.
Okay.
We grew up. So do you know different surfaces in tennis?
Yes, I play
So
Wii tennis. Don't play me.
okay. All right. So we have hard courts, which is very common in the U.S. and the Caribbean. And we have
Okay.
clay, which is what
Yes.
Lima was. Red clay was Lima. The French Open is on clay. We have grass, and I mean, I guess other surfaces indoor and stuff. But that's the carpet. Those are the surfaces. My best surface is probably hardcore, just because I played on it my whole life. I don't have that much experience on grass. I played maybe about a week or two on grass courts, but I imagine I'd be pretty good on it. You know, it's a faster surface, and the ball, the power game is more suited for it. And I'm kind of tall and powerful, not necessarily the best athlete. Try to keep the points short.
Okay.
So I imagine I'd be decent on grass, but hard court is the most comfortable I am. And changing my game, I don't think I changed my game too much. The reality is I feel like in the younger levels of tennis, there's a little bit more tactics involved, and you see a bunch of like different game styles. But the reality is the higher the game goes, tennis gets extremely simple, and it's just about how well I can manage my skill and execute a tactic that you know that'll take me, they'll hurt them the most, I guess.
Yes.
And it's extremely common that you play wide in the court, you try and move your opponent, get them outside the court, and hit to the open court. And it's very simple when you look at it from that point of view. And there are a few guys who play a little bit differently that are not necessarily as aggressive, but they have more feel and they can move the ball around extremely accurate, but don't hit it as big. But
Okay.
for the most part, it's you know tennis is played one way. If you look at the top 10 guys in the world, it's played one way. They all do it a little bit differently and they have their way of doing it, but it's played one way. Big serving, hits into the open court, making your opponent move. When you're returning on return of serve, it's like, you try and stop them. You have to try and get a good return deep to the middle. A lot of the times, if you're feeling confident, you can go for a bigger return and just run and try and track down balls and force them to make mistakes,
Okay.
and that's basically how professional tennis is played at, even at the high level. So I don't
Okay.
change my game that much on different surfaces, but I would say the only difference is on clay, it's a lot slower, and
Uh,
movement is tough because you can slide around. It's not like a set surface. So you have to learn how to slide into the ball and how to change direction. And with this speed, you want to use your weapon more. So I get to run around my backhand. If it slows down and the ball sits up, I can run around and be more aggressive with
yeah.
my forehand. So I definitely look for more forehands on a clay court. That's probably the only difference. But besides that, I don't really change my tactics that much between hard and clay.
I
But
always
that's a
wanted
good
to see
question.
the difference between the different surfaces,
Yeah.
because I mean, obviously for track and field, we have different, it's the same in a sense surface,
Hmm.
but temperature and,
In tennis
climate
too.
and the ground, like how it is, was it wet, is it raining, all that kind of stuff changes, but we still wear spikes.
Yeah.
So it helps us. I feel like for
Um,
you guys are always wearing like,
but they're different shoes for different surfaces. Hard
oh,
court has a
okay,
different shoe. Clay courts is like a zigzag shoe that it's
okay,
it's designed to like the clay sticks in the bottom of the shoe so you don't just keep sliding. Imagine if it's
gotcha.
it's a slidey surface and a flat shoe, you're just gonna keep sliding. So they make like a zigzag shoe, the fishbone design to stop and change direction. And then grass
Okay,
court shoe is like they have like these little, like similar to cricket shoe, similar to spikes, I
yeah,
guess,
yeah,
for
yeah.
grass courts. That's how it is for grass courts. But
Oh, I got you. Oh,
but
well, that's good
also
then.
the conditions make a big deal too. If it's cold or hotter, like if it's warm outside, the balls, they fly, they're bouncy. Altitude is a little bit faster. The ball moves through the air faster,
Yep.
and the speed of the court, you know, sometimes it's a faster surface, so the ball comes a lot lower than like clay or something that the ball bounces a lot more. So that's the difference in tennis more
so it's
than.
pretty much, I mean, you always get like the differences. No matter, temperature changes everything for any sport, I guess. So
Exactly.
do you play? You play better. You guys always play in the spring. So do you play better, like when it's a little bit cooler, so that you're not sweating as much?
In college, we played indoors in the spring. So for the first 3 months, we played indoors. So that's no elements, no sun, no wind. It's fun.
That is
So
nice.
I played pretty good inside. Inside also is good for attacking style. So I played pretty good inside. It was fast, hard court. So
And you're what, 6'3", 6'4"?
6'4".
Yeah, that's amazing. Is that like the average height for like an elite tennis player, or it doesn't matter?
I think maybe I'm a little bit taller than average, of probably the top 100 guys, but it's there are guys that are taller than me. It just depends on the way you can handle your game. So the taller guys have
Mm-hmm.
bigger serves and bigger weapons, but they don't move as well.
They
But there are
move,
guys that are
yeah.
my height. There's some guys that are my height that are you know very physical too, and they move well. So for 6'4", they move like a guy who's 6 foot, and that's what separates them. See people commenting on my height,
I
6'3"
know.
ish. I'm six
Yep.
four, 6'5" ish actually.
They're coming for you, bro. They're coming.
Yeah.
All right. Another question. What about the Herbert temper? Are you able to control it on the court?
I am able to control it on the court, mother. There's no need to air out my name in front of the world, okay? Oh,
Is that your mom?
that is my mom.
Hi. Hello. Oh, you have a temper? I have
No,
never.
I did when I was young. I mean, I still do for sure, but I did when I was young.
I don't think I've
I
ever
remember,
seen anything but this. I think you are literally the calmest person
no,
I've ever met.
I remember I was about 14 playing at Halcyon, playing a tournament, and I was on the second court. So just imagine it's like a clubhouse here. There's court 1 and court 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost the point. I threw my racket up, and I just threw it up to catch it, which is not that bad of a thing to do. But I threw it up. I didn't catch it, and it fell. And my mom was there watching, and I heard her from inside. I just heard her say, like, "Jody!" And I just looked across, and and that's all I needed to know, that she was upset. But I definitely do. I can get upset sometimes.
That is
So,
so crazy.
yeah,
That's good to know. I mean,
yeah.
it's good. Honey, can you turn off this one and put on the kitchen light? Thanks. Sorry. Oh my goodness.
Shakir
Well,
actually has an
apparently
awful
everyone,
temper.
you forget your senior
No,
day.
I don't
Oh,
know what happened on. I don't know what happened on. I remember on senior day, I remember choking in one of my matches, but I don't remember being. I don't remember having a bad temper that day.
people just coming out and outing you on this.
I mean, I don't understand. We don't talk about. No one's commenting and saying all the good things I've done, but they talk about my.
That never happens. I'm telling you, it
Shakir,
doesn't.
Shakir's talking. He better not comment because we were 14 years old and he threw his racket at me when I won a match. So I don't think he needs to be talking, coming at me.
Oh
Coming
man,
at me.
I love talking to you. I feel like I've wanted to get all the athletes together at some point because I think it's important. I think I'm a big team bonder. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, let's kumbaya. CJ's like, shut up for so. So I really appreciate you coming. What has been keeping you busy during this time besides training?
Nothing. I mean, Netflix. Netflix has been keeping me busy. Honestly, I've been training more, and I think I've developed more of my game in the last month and a half I've been here than my first couple of years playing. So that's good. I think
That's amazing.
I was lucky that my academy got to stay open during these times. They follow the precautions to be able to stay open.
Okay.
And we study the game a lot. So Justin's been in the comments. I live with him actually, and we study, like, we watch a lot of videos on old matches. And actually, when I talked about mentality and learning from the mentality and stuff, I learned a lot from him too. And we talk a lot about our games. We practice together every day. And some days it's been 6 hours. Justin's gone more, some days 7 hours and stuff. So I don't really have that much time anymore. At the beginning of quarantine, we were kind of going crazy, didn't really know what to do.
Yeah.
But as it's gone on, we've spent more and more time just like working on our game, and I have to I just have to say thanks to him, because it's, in a way, it's also motivated me to stay out more than I used to, more than I'm used to, like, training back in the day. And it doesn't necessarily mean it wasn't enough, but it's not enough. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense.
And I think that people forget that, especially with this mentality that you're talking about, people forget that it's not just the practice that you're doing at the location. You need to do a lot more outside when it comes to the little things. And it's, again, this is a time that the Olympics may be postponed and the games might be postponed and meets and matches, but this is your time to get stronger.
Exactly.
If anything, this is the time you need to work on your weaknesses. And that was a big thing that I discussed in past interviews is, this is a time where you visualize, you watch people that are better than you.
Funny.
And watch your other. What happened?
That's what we did. That's what we did at first. It's like we took a week off at first, just to, because we didn't really know. It came as a shock. We didn't know when next we were going to play tennis. We took a few days off and stuff, and then it just became a lot about visualization. We watched a lot of matches, a lot of different matches from some of the top 10, 15 guys in the world, and then we started recording. So we would train on a ball machine, and we work on specific things on the ball machine for hours. And then towards the end of practice, we'd play points. We have a GoPro, record the points, and we watch it, and then we compare, like, this is what we're doing, this is what we need to be doing. We sit down and watch it with our coach and stuff, and that's been a lot. But like, the first step was visualization, I feel like, in that process. So It's funny that you mentioned that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really big thing, because a lot of people who have been injured, and when I pulled my hamstring, it was one of the things that I had to do. I just sat there and I visualized my approach and everything, and it helps. It just helps to go through it, and you never lose that. Again, because both of ours is skill. It's a technique, and so when you're going through it, you got to remember it. It's muscle memory. And so I'm glad that I'm honestly very, very proud of you and how far you've come and what you've been doing and your attitude and your mentality. And I think you're going to be the best thing for Antigua. I really do. And I wish you all of the success. And I'll be following your journey. I did say, I promised everyone that I would ask you your relationship status.
No, I'm single.
Because all of my friends were like, who's that you're interviewing? And I was like, calm down. Y'all can watch later. I don't know what his status is, but I will ask.
But where are all your friends? Because I only see my friends commenting. I only see my people.
No,
I don't see any of yours.
Okay, it is 7:40 over here. So usually they're like, we eat dinner around this time.
Okay.
And then I tell everybody this. I get more views after than the actual live. So as soon as I post this, all of a sudden, like the next day I wake up, it's like 600 views. I'm like, who's watching this later? Like, what are y'all doing? So that's the thing. So I'll probably get a couple of text messages like, I already saw Whitney Ashley put the little heart emoji thing in the beginning. So even it don't matter. This is what I do. I make love connections. That's my next show. I make love. Look at how many seasons The Bachelor has. I have a future in this. So
sounds good. Thank you.
I thank you so much. I appreciate it. Jody, guys. Jody's amazing. I hope you guys follow his journey. And now for the portion that everyone pretty much loves and stays for is for Ken's Corner. Ken is my husband.
Hello, Ken.
What's up, man? How you doing?
What's up? Good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
He played football, American football, and really knows nothing about any other sport. So he just likes to ask a random question. Honey, what is your question?
So you win Wimbledon or the Aussie Open and you get that purse money. What is the dream car that you buy with it?
Dream car. Okay. I think I don't really I'm the kind of person that I don't need anything crazy flashy. I don't need that sort of stuff. And I feel like I would look dumb in a crazy flashy car. I don't know why, for some reason. I've been talking to people about this. Justin and I had this conversation too. If we do well and come up on a lot of money right now, what car are we gonna get? And I think it just came down to like a classy car. It's like a Mercedes Benz or a BMW, something classy, just a normal car, not too crazy. Yeah. I
love it. You're so classy. This is what all men need to be.
Tell your friends.
I will. I promise I will. Look, what were you doing when you were 24 years old? Did you have this mentality?
Nothing good.
Exactly. Go away. Love you. Okay. Thank you so much, Ken. Ken's Corner, ladies and gentlemen. Jody, thank you so much. I appreciate you being on the show. I appreciate you being open and honest. And I truly wish you all the success in the world. I see you have so many fans, and I appreciate that. I love that. And I will keep you posted, and I'll slide in your DMs and let them. I'll send. Oh, you know what? I'll send all the applications to your email, the fan club. I got you.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you soon, sweetie.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Bye. Stay safe, of course.
Thanks. Bye.
Jody, ladies and gentlemen, love that kid. He's absolutely phenomenal. He is truly a one of a kind because he's so focused, so dedicated, so mature. And I truly believe he is the future of the sport, him and CJ. And it really, it's comforting to know that Antigua is in good hands. As much as I'm trying to do, I think CJ and him coming together will be amazing. I truly thank you so much for joining me to speak my truth. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Monday evening. And join me tomorrow for upcoming actor, Bradford Wilson. So I will talk to you guys soon.